everybody, happy Wednesday. And when it's Wednesday here at KatiMorton.com, I'm on the website and I'm also on YouTube. So if you asked your questions under yesterday's video or on my website, I found them and I've already answered some. And I know I can't get through all of them. Know that I read everything. I'm always approving everything that's appropriate, but just because I don't have enough time to answer them doesn't mean that I don't care or that I'm not listening. And thank you so much to everyone who helps out other people in our community. A lot of you have answered questions, even just letting people know, hey, Katie has a video on this already. That really helps me out, and it's why I love our community so much. Okay, so I have 3 questions as well as a really cool journal topic. Wow. Blah, blah, blah. So thanks, Julia, for that. So let's get going, everybody. Okay, first question. Hey Katie, my mom told me that she thinks my therapist made up my self-harm and eating problems. She thinks she made it worse because I'm not as bad as some of her clients. Would you ever do this to a client? How should I tell my therapist? How do I cope when my mom thinks it's made up? Now this got a ton of thumbs up and a ton of comments. Everybody was talking about it, and so that's why I wanted to bring it up. The one thing I'm not sure is because she talks about the therapist saying, her mom saying that she thinks the therapist made up her issues, but then it says she made it worse because she's not as bad as some of her clients. And I don't know if maybe her mom is a therapist as well. I don't think so. I don't know. It's a little confusing to me. But what I think the question is obviously, how do I cope when my mom thinks that I've made things up? Now, many of you said that you struggle with this yourself, and the honest answer, there are a couple things I guess we could do. Number one, we could bring our parent with us for part of our session with our therapist, have the session, discuss it with the parent, see what concerns or questions they have, why they think it's made up. And honestly, as a client, you can kind of lean on your therapist during that time to let them talk to your parent and help them better understand. I find oftentimes parents just honestly don't know how to deal with something and can feel really overwhelmed and feel like a lot of it may be their fault. And instead of talking to their child about it or expressing this concern or worry, they act like it's all made up and it never happened because that's easier for them to manage. And so that would be my guess as to why your mom is doing this. But bringing her into session is one option. Writing her a letter if it's hard to say to her face, how you're feeling, what you've been going through, how long you've been struggling with this before you even saw a therapist, how much therapy's helped you, blah, 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 whatever you'd like to say. Or setting aside some time when you know that she'll feel relaxed and comfortable and talking to her about it. It sounds crazy. I know a lot of you are like, but it's really hard and she's just going to say the same thing. But communication is never a bad choice. It's always what can help us heal. Even if the person we're talking to still doesn't give us the answer or the response that we're wanting, the fact that we've expressed ourselves, we've been authentic to who we are, what we're going through, the fact that we've done that and can help us heal and move on past it. Because whatever goes on and however your mom even responds, you know you've been honest, you know you've shared your truth, you know what's going on. And at that point, hopefully, if you process this through with your therapist, it won't really matter what your parent thinks anymore as long as they allow you to still go to therapy. Because you can struggle with what you are struggling with. You just need to know what help you need and get it. Get the support from other areas of your life. And to be truthful, just kind of ignore the comments that this parent may make about your recovery. Because sometimes parents just don't understand. They don't seek to understand. Or they may worry so much that it's their fault that they can't even begin to help in any way. And I'm really sorry that you're going through that, but I hope that some of these tips and tricks will help. And if any of you have struggled with this and have some tools and helpful things that we can say to get them on board, can you let us know below? Because everyone's experience is different. Okay, question number 2. Hey Katie, how do we cope with the suicide of a loved one? My friend recently committed suicide and I'm filled with regret and anger at myself and my friend, then guilt for being angry at my friend. I knew he was suffering from depression and anxiety, so I tried to be there for him as much as possible. He refused therapy treatment and medication, despite myself and his family trying to get him help. Now he's gone and it feels like it's all my fault. Is it really my fault? I suffer from depression and anxiety myself, and I've had suicide attempts myself. I feel like I triggered him. Is it true that I may have caused the death of my friend, or is it my depression, etc.? Thanks. This also got a lot of chatter, and I think many of us have attempted suicide or known someone who has, or someone who has committed suicide, and it's really hard. Now, the thing that I want to explain is that no, it's not your fault. Oftentimes people who commit suicide feel there's no way out. They don't know what else to do. They feel like they're just in this sunken, terrible, dark place where there's no end in sight. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. Things feel extremely hopeless. And it's no fault of yours. You were just trying to be supportive as you could. You tried to get them to get help. And oftentimes when people are in that low of a space, I mean, they need to be in the hospital because he didn't want to get help. He didn't want to anything because everything just felt like too much. So it felt like there was no way out. Nothing was going to help even if he tried. And like I said, that hopelessness can just be so palpable that it's really difficult for us to get through to them. To be truthful, it would have been great to catch this person years before, before the depression got so bad and so debilitating. That might have been the time when therapy could have helped. We could have gotten, potentially on antidepressants if that was something that they wanted to try, and we may have been able to bring them out of it. But it is not your fault that they committed suicide. They were dealing with their own demons and their own struggles, and unfortunately, no one in their family took them to the hospital because they worried about them. Or talk them into taking them there. There are things that we can do, but many times people don't even know what to do. And that's part of the reason why I put out these videos, so people know they can call 911. You can call your local pet team if someone in your family is threatening to commit suicide, because we want them safe. And that's a nice way to have someone else intervene and make sure they're safe and possibly get them on medication, get them to a therapist during all of that. And I have a video on grief and grieving that can really help with this process. Just know that something my grief counselor said to me when my dad passed away is, and I've said this before, I think, she was like, Katie, you run marathons, you do a lot every day, you're very busy and there's a lot going on. But now it's like someone's throwing an 80-pound backpack on you and they're like, go run your marathon. You run it all the time and you can't because you're wearing an 80-pound backpack. And so losing someone close to us that we really care about can really weigh us down, and it can be really hard. And I want you to know that that's normal and it takes time, but give yourself that time to grieve and be patient with your process. Just know that the loss of this friend is not your fault, but that doesn't mean that you still can't grieve them and miss them and love them, and give yourself the time to move on from this situation, okay? Now, question number 3. Hey, Katie, I hope I'm not too late. Obviously you're not, because here it is, but I wanted to know what I can do to stop everything from feeling useless. I have a lot of schoolwork and I also play sports a lot. I pretty much don't have a social life, but I'm fine with that. It's just that I feel like everything, schoolwork and sports, is a waste of time and that I won't gain anything from it. What should I do? Now, the reason that I selected this question is because I get a lot of questions that sound like this in one way or another. And if you rewind this back and listen to it again, I would bet that many of you have felt this way at one point or another. And I wanted to talk about this after this other question, because what sounds like is happening for you is depression. It sounds like you are very depressed. I would encourage you to find a therapist or a counselor in your area where you can begin talking about this and processing this and figuring out what's going on. Medication may be an option. Yoga and meditation can help. There are a bunch of different things that we can do to help with our depression. But the fact that you're actually very active in sports tells me that we may need a little more, because often getting active and being out can lift our depression a little bit. But when we don't enjoy things that we used to, everything seems useless, worthless, everything's just not good. It just feels eh. That is a huge sign of depression. People miss that sign all the time because they just think, oh, I'm tired, or maybe I'm just not enjoying these things. Maybe I should try something new. Maybe it's just me, I'm stuck in a rut. I've heard so many different excuses, I'll call them. Ooh, sorry, I bumped my elbow, ow. Different excuses for this, but the true reason that we don't find enjoyment in things we used to is depression. And so I would encourage any of you out there, if this is something that you're struggling with, please contact someone, school counselors, get referrals from your insurance, do anything you can, because there are tons of ways to find help and to get support so that you can process through it and you don't have to feel like this much longer, okay? Now, journal topic from Julia. Man, I really walloped myself. Yow! Okay. This is really cool, and I'm going to put the link below in the description. You can scroll through the question and answers till it says a journal topic, because there's a video, a YouTube video, and it's really great, and I want you all to see it. And she says, hey Katie, I came across this video a while back and thought it would be a good idea for a journal topic. The video shows these kids, and someone says something, and then it shows the kids as adults with words tattooed on them. For most of the video, they're fighting with these ideas of themselves. What ideas or things have people said that have marked you? Where did they come from? What could you do now to change that? And then there's the link. I think it's really powerful because things that have been said and done to us can leave tattoos on our heart, on our soul, and it can become part of who we think we are when actually it's just something someone said and it isn't who we are. We have to accept that. We are the ones that have to allow people to touch our souls and to place things on us like that. And I think empowering ourselves to know we have the, the strength and the power to actually say, no, I don't agree with that, then it can be so transformative. We can change the whole way we think about ourselves because we realize that we didn't really think about ourselves that way at all until someone else said it. So check out the video. It's really cool. And then maybe write about, like she said, what are things that people have said that have marked you? Where did it come from? And what can we do to change it now? Okay, I love you all. Tomorrow I'll be on Twitter, so ask your questions there using the hashtag KatieFAQ. Bye!